Alright, so we have a new event on the JP side of things, and I'm figuring quite a few people are probably going to be playing for this one, so I thought I would go ahead and do an event guide for the Wings of Lacrimation, going over some of the basics for the event, showing some background gameplay that we got going on, and it's kind of an interesting one. I mean, this seems like it'll be a nice little farm right before Anniversary, just subtly disguised by the fact that they're trying to rob all of your saved Saint Quartz with this new Typhon Ephemeris character that we've been waiting for about 2 years now, which surely means that the Anniversary character is not going to be anybody hype, right? They wouldn't try to use another hype character right before Anniversary to try to take all of your Saint Quartz, right? They would surely never do that. Gacha companies, them, never. But this will be a little bit interesting because unlike the NA event guides where we have all the details available, we don't have all the details for the event. So I'm going to be going over kind of how the event works and the general free-to-play stuff that we all know that we already have. I mean, we have the CE and the command codes and all like the point ladder stuff. The only unknown things right now are the challenge quests and the 90++, but if there's enough people that want to see me do a 90++ guide, because my account on JP isn't the craziest, I mean, it's not bad, but I mean, no Koya and Skya does make things a little bit more difficult when trying to buster farm your way through things. We got to do it the hard way, but I'll do a guide for that if it does end up being like kind of annoying or it's a little bit more difficult. But as per usual, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these daily FGO videos and you just like having an FGO video pop into your sub box every single day. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and start off with the event bonus servants. And if you do summon for the new Typhon Ephemeris character, you are going to have quite the easy time during this event, as long as the nodes are containing, knight class enemies. I wouldn't be surprised if the 90++ is going to feature, archers, lancers, sabers, whatever have you, to make the new character, do really well. The fact that she's going to have 100% bonus damage on this event, while also basically having a free power mod against everything in the game. I mean, I just did a video yesterday breaking down this character, and yeah, she seems pretty broken, and she is pretty broken, so if you pull her, you're gonna have a very easy time. But some of the other characters in here, for some of the NA people, might be surprising to hear that they're going to be really good for this event. Tomias is a character that NA players will get in a little bit, but if you're on JP and you have him, he's a very flexible servant. He can either be a single target or AoE depending on what you need. Maybe you need him to chunk one large enemy in a node, or he can, do some AoE damage if you just kind of need him to loop a couple of nodes. So he's a really strong option. Iskandar actually recently received a buff, so he's buster farming compliant. Now, obviously, if, the 90++ node isn't against casters, he's not going to be as good, but hey, maybe the 90+ will feature casters or berserkers, and he'll be able to help you out through that one. Shiki's actually a pretty solid option, being a free-to-play NP5 that is in the free-to-play evocation shop. So if you do have them, they could be a good option if the 90++ has, say, a large rider or a large berserker. It gives you someone as an option that can chunk that enemy. And then when you move down to your 30%, you have some solid-ish options in here. Tamatomo is a little bit of an interesting option because he builds up as the fight goes on. So depending on what the nodes are looking like, maybe he'll be good for this event, but it'll probably be normal Tamatomo shenanigans, just somebody to kind of keep an eye on. For quick, you have Kashin Koji and you have Voyager, so you have two really strong options. Kashin Koji basically having free power mods against everybody because all she has to do is bound them, and I mean, if you looked at the video that I did a couple months ago, she could do that pretty easily. Galatea, I also think, is kind of an interesting option because she is getting a little bit of extra damage, and that always does tend to be an issue with Galatea, is doing damage with her, so getting that extra bonus damage, maybe you were lucky enough to get this character to NP 1, 2, maybe even 3, they might be a decent option if you need to chunk an enemy, and they might be a notable consideration if you're going into the challenge quest, because I think Galatea is pretty good when going into some of those boss fights. Same thing for someone like Shangyu. If the challenge quest is featuring a lot of enemies in it, Shangyu is really good with being able to do massive crit damage, being able to pierce invincibility and all that good stuff, and having a little bit of survivability himself, while also being a berserker, so it doesn't really matter what the enemies are comprised of as long as they're not foreigners. He should be really good to go into that boss fight. Something else to consider when going through this event. Now, it doesn't seem like this is something you get to use while going through the free quest, as you can kind of see through my free quest farming for the event, but we have these pure blood dragon skills, so maybe going through main quest fights or during certain main quest fights, it does seem like you'll be able to summon your own, red and black Typhon Ephemeros to fight this white and black, or white and blue, sorry, my bad, Typhon Ephemeros that you're fighting over there, because it gives you things like just increased damage taken against them, it buffs your character's defense. There is a skill cooldown in there as well, so it does seem like going through certain fights might be a bit easier going through the main quest, but I didn't see it through all of them, just through the initial one where you were fighting the big Typhon enemy. Just something to keep in mind of. That's kind of like the neat little mechanic for the event, but it would be really cool if you were able to use it going through the 90 plus plus and stuff. That could make this one of those easier events to farm, especially because the participation requirement is only to clear Fuyuki, so pretty much everybody will have access to this event. That would be really nice to kind of help out newer people that are hopping into the game if you can use those pure blood dragon skills later on in the event. But as I'm saying right now, and as far as I've been able to play, doesn't seem like that's available for the entire event. But let's move into some of the basic free-to-play stuff you'll get just for going through this event. First and foremost, you have the new free-to-play CE, Towards the Sea, and this one actually isn't that bad. It does seem like they're kind of trying something, I want to say, a little bit different with this one. It's not a max attack CE, which does make it one of those CEs you don't want to fully level up, because fully leveling your CEs to 100, you want to take advantage of the bonus stats you're getting from that. Things like Black Grail giving you 2400 attack, Kaleidoscope giving you 2k attack. That goes a longer way than just getting 1600 HP or in 1000 attack on these split CEs, or even just the 2000 HP on your 2k, your max HP CEs. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be one that you're going to want to max level. But again, if you are a new player, this does have a little bit of diversity for you, giving you a 50% starting battery while also giving you 10% arts, buster, and a little bit of star gen. The star gen is not the craziest thing, but it will be nice for certain setups depending on who you're using. And if you are more reliant on your face cards and doing crits to kind of get through the 90 plus and the 90 plus plus node, being able to guarantee that you'll just be genning a bit more stars might be the difference in having enough crit stars to guarantee some crits for your character and not having it. So could be relevant depending on who you're using, but it's just a nice little free to play CE. If you're a long time player, you've been playing for a couple of years, you do probably have just better CEs from other events or even from the gacha itself, but it's not the worst event CE. It could certainly be worse, could be better, but they definitely make up for it whenever you get to the command codes. The first one is Prince Wu Chang, which I believe I'm pronouncing correctly. The 5-star command code is going to be based on Huang Fei Hu. That gives you 3 critical stars whenever you attack with the engraved card. And then if you are lawful, you get 10% crit damage on the card, and if you have chaotic alignment, you get 5% NP gain. This is a little bit interesting because you can kind of manipulate this a little bit with some of the characters that do allow you to put different alignments on your different party members, or on Huang himself that can kind of manipulate what his alignment is going to be. Before any newer players ask, no, you cannot be both lawful and chaotic natively. Those are both, well, on the lawful side of things, where you have lawful, neutral, and chaotic, as opposed to the other side that is, well, good, neutral, and evil. So you can manipulate this a little bit. My advice, if you just want to use this simple and effectively, just put it on a lawful character, because 10% crit damage on a card is definitely going to go a long way, as opposed to 5% NP gain on one of your random face cards. Again, not a bad thing to have on a face card, but the crit damage is something you'll probably notice more often than, say, the crit damage, right? You'll definitely see the crit damage more often. The 4-star command code is called Child Rescuing Heroes Crossbow, which seems to be based off of William Tell, and like William Tell, it gives the engraved card Pierce Evasion, and it drops 2 stars whenever you attack with the engraved card. Not the craziest thing. I guess you could put this on a character that doesn't have any way to remove enemy buffs, or they don't have Pierce Invul or Sure Hit on their NP, or you could even put it on a character that might not have those effects built into their NP, like Pierce Invincibility, Sure Hit, because when you have those, that's kind of just caked into your kit. You get it for the rest of the turn, so your follow-up cards will have that. This could be nice if, say, you have a character that only gets Sure Hit or Pierce Invincibility for 1 turn. It gives you a way to still get around enemy dodges, even if that skill isn't up. So not a crazy thing that you really have to consider and stress out, who am I going to put this on, right? You don't have to lose sleep over it or anything. It's just a nice little CE that will help one of your DPS servants out a little bit. And then finally, you have a little bit of a quick buff for your quick characters with Chidori Adorned Japanese Umbrella. This one is actually kind of nasty. It drops a crit star whenever you use the engraved card, and if you put this on a quick card, you get 10% crit damage. So I would highly advise this to put on any one of your quick DPSs, whether that be, the newly acquired Lilith, maybe you got new Dante's, maybe you got Saber Medusa, Melt would be really good with something like this. Just a nice thing to put on any one of your quick DPSs, or if you're just kind of a freak like me and you want to put it on your Morgan or your Jalter because you like them a lot, and hey, it's extra crit damage for their quick card that's not really critting all that hard, give it a little bit of extra oomph behind it, that could be something you do with this new command code. But now let's go ahead and start talking about the point ladder, and the point ladder goes up to 3 million points, but do not worry, the free-to-play CE that you get for doing this event is going to give you a bonus drop rate for the point ladder over here. Now, I would advise not max limit breaking this unless you absolutely have to, because each individual copy of the free-to-play CE is going to give you 30% bonus on your point drop rate, whereas if you max limit break it, you're getting 60%. So obviously, if you just do some quick math, investing all of your CEs into one only gives you 60%. But if you spread it out and you have 5 of the free to play CEs, you're getting a 150% bonus to your point drop rate. So that is something to consider whenever you're looking at your free to play CE and trying to say, oh, do I limit break this one or do I not? This is one of those ones that you kind of want to save until maybe the end of the event, or then you might be able to max limit break it. You finish the point ladder, put it up there so you can help out some other people. Unless you're like me and you don't really care and you're going to be doing a billion runs on this event anyway, because the 90 plus plus will probably have some really good drop rates. And so if you're going to finish it out anyway, might as well max limit break it if you want to help out other people. But again, if you're a newer player and you don't want to spend that many apples, you're trying to be a little bit more efficient, trying to min max, then you can just kind of keep all of these preserved, as you will get your last copy about halfway through the point ladder at 1.5 million points. But notably, there are some other things beside the Mana Prisms, QP, and just other random mats that you're going to be going through this. And that is going to be some of the command codes that I believe are from Kenshin's Guda Guda event that we got a lot, like 2 years ago at this point. The first one is called, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, it is, Kenshin's Horse. And it's actually not a bad one. Again, all the things from this event seem to be really just tailoring towards crit damage, which I think is kind of funny. They're like, hey, is your Typhon not critting hard enough? Just take all of these command codes and slap them on all of our cards, because this one is going to give you star weight on the engraved card and just free 10% crit damage. Unlike the 3-star one, this can be put on any card to give it the 10% crit damage. If you have a Buster character, put it on their Buster card. Give it a little bit of extra star weight so they don't have to fight as hard for those Buster crits. It's only 50%. It's not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things when you have characters with 500, 1,000, 5,000 even star weight. But again, it's nice if your star weight skill is down. It's just a little bit of extra weight for them. And then the other one, the Invincible Hajime-chan, is going to be giving you 15% crit damage on the engraved card, which is not a small amount. I mean, for just having it engraved into your card, that is pretty nice, while also giving you 2 stars whenever you attack with the engraved card. And you guys can kind of see what I mean. This is kind of just the crit damage event, right? This is just the event where they want you to be critting really hard. And if I'm remembering correctly, Typhon Ephemeros does not have any crit damage on her kit, so they really might just be telling you to put all of these on your Typhon Ephemeros, because with all of these things, I mean, aside from what, the 4-star command code that we got, they all are giving you crit damage, so you can really just load up her Buster cards with a lot of really strong crit damage, and even reinforce her quick card a little bit, because even though it's a 3-star, it's still giving you 10%, and she'll also be genning a fat bit of stars, as she's kind of just doing Brave Chains and stuff. So if you get Typhon Ephemeros, not a real bad thing to put on all of her cards to kind of soup her up a little bit, make her do a little bit better crits, because she doesn't really have a whole lot of crit damage in her kit. Or you could just throw this on somebody else. You recently pulled Lilith and you're like, man, I want my Lilith to be critting even harder. Then by all means, slap all of these on her. I mean, this is just a really good event if you want to outfit one of your characters with some really strong crit damage. And then finally, usually at the end of these event guides, I talk about the current summoning campaign. There will probably be more banners that come out, and if I think they're real egregious, I'll go ahead and make a video being like, you should summon on this banner, or you shouldn't summon on this banner. But right now, all we have is Typhon Ephemeros' banner, and I mean, you can see from the title of the video I uploaded yesterday, is she a must summon? I mean, she makes a very convincing case. Like, she's a really dang good servant. I mean, she is incredibly strong. Having a character that gets stronger based on her debuffs is going to be an absolute challenge quest killer. She's also a Buster AoE character that not only is rocking the 50% batter, which is really nice for her to have, but she's also donating 20% to the other party members, so you can kind of do some nasty stuff for multicore. I mean, this character is just outfitted to be insanely good. I mean, Pierce Invincibility, we talked about that earlier, that's just caked into her NP, so enemies can't even run with dodge or invincibility buffs, because as long as you lead with the NP, all of her follow-up crits, with your Koyan Skies, your Merlins, even your Waivers, whoever you're using with her, are also going to be getting around your enemy's invincibility and dodge buffs. It's just a really, really strong character. Is she worth summoning for? I would say yes. I mean, even her Bond CE is really strong. So however that's going to work out for our extra class characters, because they're still trying to keep that a little bit of a mystery on, ooh, are you going to grand one character from each extra class, which God, I hope so, or even if it's just from extra 1 and extra 2, which I think is a bit more likely. she'll make a really convincing case to be your grand extra 2 character. Unfortunately, she will also be fighting with Kukulkan if you have her in her account, and I do think Kukulkan is probably better than Typhon just overall as a character, but that really comes down to their classing. With her being a pretender, she's not as free as somebody like a Kukulkan. You know, Kukulkan is a foreigner you can bring to really any fight, and she can fight them tight neutral, and she'll be absolutely fine. Whereas Typhon is going to be really good against your knight classes, you know, your sabers, archers, and lancers, but she's going to be kind of hard gate kept out of doing riders, casters, and assassins. Although, cue the person in the comment section down below that's like, actually, I have an NP5 Typhon Ephemeros, and I just absolutely butt blasted, you know, the dailies that we have for FGO. And I'm like, you know, I'm sure if you buff her enough, you can hard push through some type disadvantage. I mean, there are videos out there of people using someone like Ereshkigal, for example, to go farm against Earth attribute sabers. If you have enough damage, you can push through some of these nodes, especially with buster characters. Since they don't really care about refunds, they just care about downing the enemies, you can get away with that. And with all the things we have in the game at this point, with gold foes and grailing and, you know, faux pas and all the nasty stuff we're able to do, God forbid you start throwing in grand servant buffs in there, and you also have the whole, you know, class scoring system at this point as well, things can get pretty nasty pretty quickly. But I think that's pretty much it for this event. I hope I covered it pretty in depth for you guys with what we have so far, and, you know, kind of helped you out with what you should be doing for the event. Obviously, we're kind of in day 1 for it, so this is just kind of like a preliminary guide. But again, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as even though we do not have the usual setup right now because I am out and about traveling, I still make sure to get these daily FGO videos out for you guys, so that would be greatly appreciated. If you want some extra help, or you're still really confused about the event, or maybe you just want to talk about FGO with people, we have a Discord down in the description down below. There's also some other gaming chats in there if you play other games, but let's be honest, you're devoting your life to FGO at this point. You're only playing this game. This is the main game you're playing. Once I get back from my little vacation travel, I will be back to doing streams, which should be every single weekday. You know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is usually going to be FGO. Tuesday, Thursdays are kind of my flex days, where I like to do stuff like, you know, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, or maybe even the odd Arknight stream, or maybe even a rare Nikkei stream every now and then. And I've started doing those both here and on the Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below as well. And then finally, there is a Patreon, where usually on Fridays, I let the patrons vote for what video is going to come out on Friday. I think because we have this stuff dropping and the evocation stuff is going to be coming to NA, and I kind of got to get some stuff ready while I'm going to be traveling and flying back. That might not happen this week, but they'll definitely be on, you know, next week. And there's also going to be some patron exclusive stuff over on the Patreon if you're subscribed over there. I hear a Nikkei tier list is on the horizon, so if any of that tickles your pickles and you want to go that extra mile in showing support for the channel, by all means, hit up that Patreon link down in the description down below. But you also do not have to do that. Just watching the video, liking, subscribing, comments, and coming out to the streams, all that stuff that's absolutely free, is helping me out more than you know, and is greatly appreciated. But with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.